Welcome back to the Fishbowl. Welcome back to the Fishbowl with Jade. And if this is your second time stepping into the bowl with me, I want to say thank you. I don't take your time or your presence lightly. This space is where we don't hide the messy parts. We put them right in the glass and examine them together. From a psychological and human perspective, we look at real life situations, relationships, choices, patterns, and we ask the questions most people avoid. So tonight, I hope you brought your scuba gear because we are diving deep. From the outside, it always looks noble. You see someone struggling, you see their potential, you see who they could be if they just had the right support, the right love, the right push. And something in you says, I can help. So you step in. You invest your time, your energy, your emotions, sometimes even your finances. You pour into them, not just for who they are, but for who you believe they can become. And let's be honest, women have been conditioned to do this for generations. To nurture, to support, to stand beside a man while he builds. We've heard it before. Behind every strong man is a strong woman. And many women take pride in that role. There's honor in being the one who saw him before the world did. There's validation in saying, I helped him become who he is. But here's the uncomfortable truth from a psychological perspective. When you help someone who didn't ask for help, you're not always supporting them. Sometimes you're projecting onto them. You're loving their potential, not their reality. And when that happens, something subtle but powerful is created, an invisible contract. You may never say it out loud, but internally it sounds like, I'm pouring into you now, so one day you'll become the version of yourself I see, and maybe you'll choose me because of it. But here's the reality. They never signed that agreement. Psychologically, this taps into something deeper. Many women who find themselves in this position are operating from a nurture or fixer identity. It feels purposeful. It feels like love. It feels like loyalty. But sometimes it's also tied to a deeper need to feel needed, to feel valued, to feel chosen. Because if I can help you become better, then maybe I become unforgettable. But let's talk about what actually happens. When a person finally gets back on their feet, when they stabilize, when they grow, they don't become who you imagined. They return to who they truly are. And if who they truly are doesn't align with you, they leave. Not always out of malice, sometimes out of clarity. And that's the part that hurts. Because from your perspective, you invested, you showed up, you held them down. So when they leave, it feels like betrayal. It feels like you were used. But from their perspective, they received help that was given freely. There was no contract, no agreement, no shared understanding of what that help meant long term. So now we have two experiences happening at the same time. The giver feels used, and the receiver feels confused. Now let's bring Grant into the bowl. For those of you who may not know, Grant is the central character from my book, The Unfaithful Husband. Grant represents a man navigating his own flaws, choices, and emotional patterns, often benefiting from the women who see more in him than he sees in himself. So let me ask the question. Is it Grant's fault if he was helped without asking? Not entirely. If someone gives without boundaries, without communication, without mutual agreement, then the responsibility doesn't fully fall on the person receiving it. Grant accepted what was given, but he didn't necessarily agree to become anything in return. And that's where accountability gets complicated. Because, yes, people should be mindful not to take advantage, but at the same time, we have to be honest about the role we play when we give from expectation instead of clarity. So, ladies, how far should you go? Help, but don't overextend. Support, but don't sacrifice yourself. Love, but don't build someone at the expense of ignoring who they are right now. Because loving someone's potential while ignoring their present reality will always create emotional imbalance. And historically, women have carried this weight, building, supporting, holding families together, pouring into men while often putting themselves on pause. And while there is strength in that, there also has to be awareness, because you are not responsible for someone else's transformation. Growth is a personal decision. Change requires willingness, and evolution cannot be forced through love alone. So here's the real question I want you to sit with tonight. Are you helping them because they asked, or because you believe loving them will change them? Because those are two very different relationships, and one of them almost always ends in disappointment. Now let's talk. Is it ever okay to invest in someone who didn't ask for it? Or have we normalized overgiving in the name of love? Thank you for stepping into the bowl with me tonight. If this made you reflect, question, or even feel a little uncomfortable, that's where the work begins. This is the Fishbowl with Jade, where we don't judge, we understand. And I'll see you next time, right here in the bowl. The